this or that. There's conflict continuously at all times in our life. Something as simple as choosing between a burger or a pasta. So how do you think this translates into inner conflict when we are conflicted about our own decisions and the outcomes they give us?
Common man's language, inner conflict is a conflict between the brain and the heart. Slightly technical language, it's a conflict between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Making it even more difficult, it's a conflict between logic and reasoning and feelings and emotions. So, what should you give precedence to is basically your question.
Correct.
Because that will enable you to settle on an answer.
Right.
Whatever be the conflict. Yeah. So you need to know a formula which will enable you to choose the option. Many a times there is no conflict. Whatever the brain says, you feel good about it. The heart also agrees. So that the decision is simple. There is no choice. यही लेना है, अच्छा लगता है, logic में भी बैठता है, पैसा भी बराबर है, everything fits. So no conflict. But there are certain occasions where the mind says, when I say mind, the conscious mind says, ये करो, and the subconscious mind says, नहीं नहीं ये मत करो. So now there is a conflict between the brain and the heart. So you must first understand technically that every human being has two components of the mind. One is the conscious component and the other is the subconscious component. The larger component is the subconscious mind. It occupies almost 90% of the total human mind. The smaller component, the 10% component, is the reasoning, logical mind. So it has the ability to analyze.
Correct.
The subconscious mind does not have that ability. Subconscious mind is an objective mind, is a subjective mind, and the conscious mind is an objective mind. So obviously the mind that is capable of applying logic, arriving at a conclusion, is the mind that is capable of taking a decision. So many a times your decisions are taken by your conscious mind because it's the logical mind. And this facility is not available to your subconscious mind, which is the emotional mind, the feeling mind. But sometimes the feelings are overpowering and they overpower your logical mind, your thinking mind, and then they say कि नहीं आपने जो decide किया वो गलत है, ऐसे करो. And then you tend to take the feeling decision and not the logical decision.
Fair.
Your subconscious mind stores a large variety of information which is not necessarily actively taught to you. Like you were actively taught ABCD.
Correct.
So it was actively instilled in you.
Correct.
But you saw your grandmother switching off the lights when she went from one room to the other. This was not taught to you. As a child, you grew up in a family which was very disciplined and you saw conservation of electricity in your house. You grew up to be an adult which automatically copied that.
Right.
So that education came to you subconsciously. So you are a bundle of deliberate education which was formally given to you. Even in the home, formal education cannot be only in school and colleges, it can be also at home. Beta ye mat kar, aise kar, वैसे खड़ी मत रहे, ऐसे मत बैठो. So this is also formal education. And there is certain education which you pick up. Pick up directly by observing people around you, picking up from the media. You're watching television, you're watching advertisements, you're watching shows. So you're picking up from there. You're picking up from watching society. You're watching large number of citizens spitting on the street. So it's an education you picked up. You consider it normal and natural. Everybody spits. So perhaps you also get tempted to spit and your father sees you spitting. Hey, raste pe thukne ka nahi. So that becomes active education. Okay. And then you have a question mark. Arey, everybody is spitting. So why should I? So your conscious mind is getting programmed actively and passively. Whatever your conscious mind accepts enters your subconscious and your subconscious is expanding. So there is one society influence through your consciousness on your subconscious mind, and there is a universal influence on your consciousness, which is a natural process, what we call as intuition.
Correct.
Intuition comes to you through the universe. Whatever you accept in your conscious mind coming from the society goes into your subconscious mind. So, if you were taught to say Namaste to Shankar Bhagwan, you will ignore Vishnu Bhagwan. Because in your house it is all shy white. All Shankar, 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 Shankar. So, Shankar Bhagwan, Namaste. Vishnu Bhagwan की मूर्ति ठीक है, दूसरा भगवान है. लक्ष्मी माता है, ठीक है. हिंदू गॉडेस है, लेकिन हमारे यहाँ शंकर भगवान की पूजा की जाती है. And you will say that proudly. हमारे यहाँ तो शंकर भगवान. So, you have been programmed. Now comes the conflict. And conflict can arise when somebody questions you. Why you do Murti Puja? Example. And now the conflict has arisen in your mind. Nobody has taught you why you do Murti Puja. You have been taught Shankar Bhagwan ki puja karo, Ling ki puja karo. Now the question has come from the society. Maybe your college friend. Why are you doing Murti Puja? Nobody told you. And you have not investigated yourself. Now the conflict comes from your conscious mind. अरे इसको logical answer क्या है? अंदर से श्रद्धा है, faith है कि I believe in Shankar Bhagwan. So you feel sort of insulted, irritated by the question. But the irritation is more because of your ignorance. You don't know the right answer, the logical answer to give to this person.
Correct.
And then the conflict arises, that person goes away, the conflict stays in you, and you go about doing your normal things, asking your parents कि हम क्यों करते हैं ऐसे, and probably they don't know the answer. हमारे parents ने बोला था करो इसलिए हम लोग कर रहे हैं, आप लोग भी करो. Logic पता नहीं क्यों कर रहे हैं. So the conflict persists, perhaps grows, and it comes to a stage where your logic says कि this is illogical. I've been accepting it from childhood, but इसमें कुछ दम नहीं है. So now there is a conflict which is growing in your conscious mind and subconscious mind. Subconscious mind has been trained to pray to an idol. Now your conscious mind has started questioning that. And this questioning becomes more intense because the answer is not forthcoming. The answer that appeals to your logical mind is not forthcoming. When this situation arises, you favor the conscious mind. I come into your life and I influence you. You follow my religion. I will tell you the logic. And then you tend to agree with my sense of logic. You convert. You operated with your conscious mind.
Right.
But your subconscious mind was programmed with assumptions. Nobody ever attempted to replace the assumptions with information, data, knowledge. Neither did you attempt. Therefore, the other logic appealed to you.
Now, inner conflicts are very, very intensely heard of, especially during, say, when you're having a quarter life crisis or a midlife crisis. That's when you're questioning every single thing in your life and rethinking all your decisions. So, is inner conflict something we inherently possess for the entirety of our life, or can we figure a way to make peace with the decisions we're making and to be okay with it without questioning it?
All these conflicts arise because of phase change. Now listen carefully, phase change. You're now transcending from kid stage to adolescent stage. Pre-puberty, puberty. Then from the adolescent stage to the adult stage. So these are changes in phases. These are natural changes biologically, hormonal changes. They are also circumstantial changes. Because the way people start relating to you also changes.
Correct.
They were relating to you as a child. Now they are relating to you as a growing up girl. Now they are relating to you as a grown up girl. Now they are relating to you as a woman. So these are phase changes. Am I comfortable with the phase change? Many people are not, because this phase change is not explained to them as they are growing up. It is kept under the wraps. It is a taboo subject. ये बात नहीं करने का. बच्चों के सामने तो ये बात नहीं करने का. So many people are not aware that these phase changes happen. And sometimes, under the pretext of giving knowledge, even a mother tends to give wrong knowledge to the growing child, because the mother herself doesn't know what is the truth. The truth is hormonal. You make it hard. अभी तू लड़कों के साथ नहीं खेलेगी, अभी तू ऐसे कपड़े नहीं पहनेगी, अभी तू इतने बजे घर आएगी. These are all based on fear factors without knowing the background. Then the rebellion kicks up. Whenever you start operating under fear, the rebellion is a natural reaction, because there is always a resistance to any pressure.
Correct.
So whenever some adult is trying to educate you or ask you to do something, it is a pressure. The reverse is happening in you. Why children become rebellious? Because it is a direct reaction to the amount of pressure the adult is exerting on the child.
Correct.
This is the conflict. The conflict is of ignorance. If that is replaced with knowledge, the conflict automatically dissolves. We feel that the child is too young to be exposed to this knowledge. That is not true. Because what is too young? In certain societies, 18 is too young. In certain societies, 11 is not young.
Correct.
So you have to understand as an adult that what are the phase changes happening. You were weaned away from the milk bottle to spoon feeding, and from spoon feeding to self-feeding. This was a phase change. Your fingers were not capable of feeding yourself. You look at the elephant baby, no? The trunk is not capable of lifting grass till it becomes strong enough and the elephant becomes aware that it can actually pull out the grass and put it in the mouth.
Fair enough.
Same thing is happening with you as a child. But our adults, for adults, everybody is still a child. मेरी बच्ची, मेरा बच्चा. Even 18 साल का घोड़ा हो गया, फिर भी मेरा बच्चा.
Fair enough. But do you think inner conflict can be taken in a positive manner? It's usually always perceived negatively and how it hinders your progress and your decision making. But is there a positive spin we could put to it?
Yeah, and largely it's a job of the parent that you should always look at a conflict as an opportunity to acquire knowledge. कि ये मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, तो इसकी असली समझ क्या है? ये मेरे सर्कल में आंसर नहीं है, तो कौन से सर्कल में इसका आंसर है? तो let me seek the answer from that circle and let me validate whether that answer is true or false, because answers I will get from different circles and sometimes it is false knowledge.
Fair enough.
So validation is an important subject in the acquisition, which doesn't happen, and therefore you will see nowadays also a lot of false information is forwarded because validation is not happening. ये WhatsApp पे गलत मैसेज जा रहा है, क्यों जा रहा है? Because I have not validated the veracity of that information which I received and I believed it to be true. So when you are resolving your inner conflict through an external agency, validate it with a reliable source whom you trust. So conflict is a huge subject and it can't be dealt with in isolated zones. There are large influences which intermingle with different conflicts. But essentially you need to remember that a conflict is absence of truth. Absence of truth is absence of knowledge. If you want to resolve a conflict, go for the truth. Once you have the truth, there is no way a person can stand up to you and give you a counter argument, because you are standing on absolute, verifiable, validated truths. Go for it.